Hello, and welcome to the PC America Reseller Training Series. My name is Adam Moore, and I am the PC America Sales Engineer that will be conducting today's training. My role is to assist the VAR community and resellers to better understand the features and functionality of the PC America software. Today we're going to be discussing a Cash Register Express overview. Let's get started. When you first click on the software, this brings you into your login screen. On your login screen on the top right, you have three options: Manager, Help, and Exit. Manager allows you to make any back office changes or any adjustments that need to be made in the software. Help stores all of our FAQ knowledge, so if you're struggling with any aspect of our software, you can refer to the Help menu. Exit allows you to exit out of the software. Below these three options, we have the ability to set either a custom logo, a picture, or any kind of brand to your liking. Below that, we have ways that you can clock into the software. Now there are two methods of clocking into the software, and that is either using the touchscreen, and the employee would use their unique identifier to log into the software, or you can use an access card. Access card is a product that we offer, so if you're interested in purchasing access card, you can contact your account manager. To the left here, we have a number pad. This is the number pad that we use to log into the software. In the software, we have defaulted ID and password. The default ID is 01 and the password is admin. Let's log into the software now. We're going to type in 01, enter, and the password is going to be admin, ADMIN, enter. Now it is recommended that you do change that password once you become more familiarized with the software. That is the defaulted password, so as I mentioned, please change that password once you are more familiarized. Now, once you log into the software, this brings you into your invoice screen. This is going to be the screen where the end user or a cashier will be logged in for 90% of the time. This is where they will be finalizing transactions and cashing out their customers. This is going to be their moneymaker. When you scan a product, it populates the screen. Let's scan a product now to show you how that looks. So as you can see, I scanned the barcode of my product. It shows you the barcode that I have associated with that product, along with the price and the full description of that product. On the top right here, we have a subtotal and tax, which calculates your grand total. Below your invoice list, we have a couple of options. We have delete, discount, quantity change, and price change. These four options are used to manipulate the item that is currently being rung up. These items are also line specific, so when using these options, you must make sure that you have the item highlighted before you actually use the functionality. We also have these up and down arrows so you can navigate through your items if they occupy than what is shown on the screen. Let's ring up a couple of products and show you how these buttons work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight an item, and once I highlight an item, I can use these options at the bottom of the screen. Again, these are your item options. So if I highlight the item, let's see, I highlight 4, hit delete, deletes the item off screen. Discount. Again, these buttons at the bottom of the screen are specific to the item that you have highlighted. So in order to discount a product, you must make sure that you have the item highlighted. So let's say you want to discount this third line. Let's say we want to do a 50% discount. Keep in mind, this discount button is a percentage. You do have the ability to create a coupon in the system for a dollar amount or percentage, so you are not locked down only to the discount button. So as you can see, we applied a 50% discount to this item here, and it shows you the amount that we applied. It also changed the price to $95 even. Quantity change and price change. Now as you can see, we have two of the same products rung up, Johnny Walker. Okay, we have two of the same products, so what we can do here is actually delete one, and as you can see, the grand total is also $406.60. So what we can do here is delete one and just change the quantity of that line to make it the same, instead of having two of the same line items. So let's highlight one, we'll delete it, and we'll change the quantity. Okay, we're going to highlight the item, change the quantity, let's say to 2. You notice that my price has gone back up to $380, and my grand total is now back to $406.60. price change. Price change is going to be whatever you change this to times the quantity. So let's say we do a price change of $100. Hit OK to that. It's going to be 100 times 2, which will bring it to 200, with a grand total of 214 even. Below these item options, you also have quick buttons. These quick buttons are F1 through F12. F1 and F12 work with the menus at the top of the screen here. So if you hit File or Tools, you'll notice you'll see F2, F4, F5, same thing with Invoice, F6, F7, F8, F9, and again, these are just quick buttons. These are used for end users or customers that are more comfortable with a mouse and keyboard. The system is fully touchscreen, so it is developed for speed, so you can get the customer in and out as fast as possible. But if you are comfortable using a keyboard or mouse, you can still do so. Above that, we have Quick Find and Find. Quick Find allows us to sort through our customers if you have an Access card associated with that customer. Again, Access card is a product that we offer, so if you're interested in purchasing Access cards, you can contact your account manager. So at this point, you would swipe the card that you have associated with that customer and would then pull up their information. Find. Find allows you to sort through your customers by number, last name, company, phone number, or all four. So let's say I select a customer now. Okay? As you can see, it pulled up my information, 1, 2, 3. Again, I can go back to my cash customer and hit Quick Find, type in 1, 2, 3, and you'll notice that my information will still pull up here because I know the first couple numbers. I know the numbers of this customer. So let's say I hit Enter, and there I am. It pulls up my information once again. Above that, we have cash, check, credit and debit, and account. These are basic shortcuts to your Mount Tender screen. As I mentioned, the software is developed for speed, so you have the ability to close out the transaction on the invoice screen as opposed to going to that extra step and hitting the pay button. So let's say I hit pay. This will bring us directly into our invoice, into our Mount Tender screen. Now once you get into your Mount Tender screen, these are the different tenders that the software offers. As you can see, they're the same options that are in the background here. At the bottom, we have quick dollar amounts. The last dollar amount always rounds up to the nearest dollar of the total. Above these quick tender options, we also have void invoice, hold, TS lookup, and options. Void invoice is a feature that cannot be reversed. So make sure when you're voiding something out of the system, it is your final decision. Hold. Hold is a great feature. Hold allows you to put a transaction on hold for any reason. Let's say you have a busy line of customers and you get to one particular customer who forgets their wallet. And you already rang up their order, so you don't want to have to re-ring the order all over again. So what you can do is take that transaction, put it on hold, let the customer retrieve their wallet, then pull back that transaction and then pay that customer out. To show you how that works, let's ring up a couple products right now and show you what I mean. Okay, so this particular customer has forgot their wallet. So what we can do at this point is say, let's say we're going to put it on hold, and let's give it a name. Let's say John. All right, and we'll say wallet. Alright, John wallet. So now we know John is going to get his wallet. So we'll hit enter on that. Takes the transaction and puts it on hold. I can now continue with my line of customers, knock down my line, and now the customer comes back and now has his wallet. So at this point what I can do is hit fetch on hold. There is the transaction, invoice number 524 with the on hold ID of John wallet. Double click on that, and there's the order. So this way, I don't have to re-ring the order, but now I can just pay out the customer as I would. As I mentioned, the software is developed for speed, so you can get the customer in and out as fast as possible, even in scenarios such as forgetting their wallet or having to run back to the car for any reason. TS lookup. TS lookup is your touch screen lookup. This is where all your items and departments are located. You have your departments on the left and you have your items on the right. You also have a cursor here, which lets you know which department you're currently in. So when you click on a department, you'll notice that the cursor follows. You also have these arrows at the bottom of the screen. If you have more departments that occupy the screen, you can hit the down arrow, and then it'll show you those additional departments that you have added. Same as your items as well. The left and right arrows work just the same. Options. Options is the same as your manager screen. Again, this is where you can make any kind of back office changes or any adjustments that need to be made in the software. Last feature I want to mention on the screen is your search button. Search button is your third method of looking up your item or pulling up your item. Now, we can scan a product, we can go into our TS lookup and select the product. Third method is hitting your search button, which is your best practice. I say that only because it makes it a lot easier to pull up the item. You can type in the first couple letters of the product and it pulls it up right away. Let me show you what I mean by that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete these items. Alright, so first I'm going to scan a product. This is the first method of pulling up an item, or scanning a product. Okay, next method is going to be TS lookup. Hit my liquor department, there's my Johnny Walker. That is the second method of pulling up our product. Third method is hitting your search button and typing the first couple letters of your product, J-O-H. Pull it up, double click on the item, and as you can see, it also adds it to my invoice. So you have three methods of pulling up your product. A good reason to use your search button, let's say maybe the barcode is damaged, or let's say maybe you can't locate the product in your TS lookup. As time goes on, your inventory will be growing, so this screen will become very occupied. So the easiest way to pull up your product is by using your search button. So now that we rung up a couple products, these items need to be added into the system somehow. In order to add these items in here, that is done through your department maintenance and inventory maintenance. Let's go there now. In order to get there, we're going to click on Options, Administrative, letter B, Department Maintenance. And as you can see, right next door is Inventory Maintenance. One rule to keep in mind, all your maintenance screens will be stored under Administrative. So any maintenance screens will always be stored under Administrative. So again, number 5, Administrative, letter B, Department Maintenance. Now this is your Department Maintenance screen. This is going to be the screen where you add all of your departments into the system. At the top of the screen, we have Category for this department. Category for this department is meant for more detailed reporting. Department ID. Department ID is limited to 8 characters. So you can make this whatever unique identifier that you want. Department description allows you up to 30 characters. You must also make sure that you have the displaying the way you would want it to show on your touchscreen lookup. So in here, you can pull the full description of the department. What we're going to do now is we're going to add a new department into the system. We're going to hit Add Department at the bottom of the screen. We're not going to call this department 12. We'll call the department description Snacks. I'm now going to hit Save. Your department has been added. Would you like to add another? We're going to say no. But just to backtrack our steps, all we did here, we left the category the same as none. The department ID, we set that to 12, or any unique identifier that I want. Department description, I set as Snacks. I could also make the department ID Snacks as well, as long as it's under 8 characters. So now what we want to do is we want to put an item into the Snacks department. So let's hit Save Changes one more time. And now we're going to exit out and click on Inventory Maintenance, letter A. Now this is the screen when you enter all of your products into the system. Keep in mind, we do have an alternate method of adding your products into the system, and that is called an ASCII import. Basically what we do is we ask you for a hard copy of all your product list in an Excel format. We then program that into the system and then upload that to the customer's computer. This way all the hard work is done for the customer or the end user, and the customer can start utilizing the software to start making their money. Now the top section of this screen is the general information that is required for an item in inventory. The middle section here is optional information that you can enable on the product in inventory. The bottom section is how we would navigate through our items in inventory and add our items into inventory. Previous and next are the slowest ways of looking up your products. Lookup is your most fastest and efficient way of looking up your items. When you hit the lookup button, you can sort by category, department, or vendor. You could also type in the first couple letters of a product and pull up an item that way as well. So what we want to do is we want to add a new item into the department that we just created. So we're going to hit Add Item at the bottom of the screen. When you hit Add Item, you have 5 types of items that you can create: Standard Item, Coupon, Choice Item, Kit, and Modifier. Standard Item is going to be your regular standard inventory item that you're adding into the system. Coupon, as I mentioned, you have the ability to create coupons for the dollar amount or percentage, so we're not locked down to the discount percentage button. Choice item. A good example of a choice item would be, let's say that you hit chips. Okay, then once you hit chips, it'll have all the different other types of chips that you offer, such as Doritos, Lay's, and so on. So the choice item would be chips, and then from chips, you would get all the different types of chips that you offer. Kit can be used to sell any kind of items that you want to bundle together. Maybe you have a basket that you want to put together, and you can do an override price. Modifier group can be used for an item prompt. A good example, let's say you have a cup of coffee, and when you click on that cup of coffee, you want it to prompt you small, medium, and large, and then charge them accordingly by the size. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit Standard Item. We're now going to scan the barcode of our product. But first, we want to make sure we select the department that we just created. So we're going to hit the drop-down arrow, and we're going to select Snacks. We're now going to click in the item number field so we have a blinking cursor, and now we can scan the product. So as you can see, all I did was I scanned the barcode, and that's what populated in the field. I'm not going to put the full description of that product. Let's say for the animal crackers, we actually pay $1 for it. Now the cost is going to be what you actually pay for the product. But we're going to be selling the product for $1.50. You'll notice if you're tracking your tax with price, this will automatically adjust. Shows you that it's ringing $1.60. Now the number in stock, let's say I'll have 100 of these. I'm now going to hit Save. As I mentioned, the top section is the only general information that is required for adding a product into the system. Your item has been added. Would you like to add another item? We're going to say no. We're going to hit Save one more time to make sure that our changes commit. And now backtrack and see what we just did. So what we did was we hit Add Item, selected Standard Inventory Item. We then selected our department. We then scanned the barcode of our product as the item number, and then entered the full description of that product. We then entered what we pay for the product versus what we charge the customer for the product. The price for tax is going to be $1.61, as long as you do have your tax enabled. Also, to the right here, you have the ability to set pictures for any of your items in inventory. The middle section here, we have a couple tabs. Now, we're not going to talk about all these tabs, but tabs that are specific to the retail side. Now, ordering info. This can be very useful on the ordering side, on the retail side when ordering your products. Now, this is where you would come to associate the vendor with the item in inventory. Now, keep in mind, if you do not have any vendors associated with your products, then you cannot order that product or create purchase orders. There are 2 ways to adjust your number in stock, and that is through your vendors and purchase orders or through an instant PO. Now, the instant PO are for items that are not associated with any vendors. To add pricing from a vendor, you have to make sure that the vendor is added into the system first. But first, let's go take a look at our product to see what we just did. I'm now going to exit out of the invoice screen so it can refresh. Now we're going to log back in. 01, enter, And the password again is admin, ADMIN. Enter. We're now going to scan our product. And there it is. There's the item number that I scanned for the product, the price that I set it as, and the full description. Now that is one method of pulling up the item. The second method would be to hit TS lookup, scroll down, looking for my snacks department, and there's my animal crackers there again. Double click, rings it up, adds it to my invoice list. Third method is hitting search, type in the first couple letters of the product, A and I. There it is. Double click on the product, and it also adds it to my invoice list. So 3 methods of pulling up that item. Let's go back into our inventory maintenance screen. We're going to go into options, number 5 administrative, letter A, inventory maintenance. Next tab we're going to talk about is your special pricing. Now with your special pricing, this allows you to do sale pricing either by the dollar amount or discount. Bulk pricing can be used for a 2-for-1 or buy one get one. Time-based pricing can be used for any promotions that you're offering in your store. Maybe a certain time of the day, you have certain products or a certain percentage off, you can set that in the software as well. Most businesses use time-based pricing for a happy hour. Matrix. The software offers a 2-dimensional matrix which allows you to add clothing, shirts, pants, hats, sneakers into the system by size and color. Sales history. Sales history, as long as the product has been sold, there will be sales history based on that product. Recipe. Do not confuse this for the restaurant side. The recipe can be used for linking your inventory together. A good example would be a carton of cigarettes versus a single pack of cigarettes. You would want that single pack of cigarettes deducted from the carton pack of cigarettes. You would use the recipe in order to link that inventory together. Price levels. Now there's over 26 different price levels that you can set in the software. So let's say, for an example, for children, you wanted to give children all 25% discount. All right, what we can do is come in here, wipe this out, type in 25, hit enable. Also, let's say maybe senior citizens are going to get 25% off as well. Hit enable, and now any customer that I add into the system, just to show you quickly what I mean, we're just going to exit out of here to show you how this correlates with the customer. Alright, so we set price level S for senior citizens, and they're going to get this product at 69 cents. Same thing for our children. Any children, alright, that are under 10 or whatever it is, you can set here as well. So now to associate this with the customer, you're just going to exit out of here. You're going to go into letter E, customer maintenance, right underneath inventory maintenance. Alright, and here's all the different price levels that we offer. So you can set price level C for children and price level S for senior citizen. Moving forward, any customers that are set with these 2 levels are going to be getting the item at that discounted price. So let's just exit back out of here and back into inventory maintenance. Modifiers, as I mentioned, can be used for a product prompt. This is mainly used on the restaurant side, but it can also be used on the retail. You know, a good example would be maybe a cup of coffee, and then once you hit that cup of coffee, it'll prompt you for small, medium, and large, and then the software can charge accordingly by size. You can put any kind of special note into the system for any product. Maybe it's made with peanuts, maybe it's made with MSG, you know, anything like that, or maybe it's a special order or needs to be handled specifically. You know, you can put any special note attached to any item that you have added into the system. So now that we've added some items into the system, the next thing I want to show you with inventory is our styles matrix. So we're going to exit out of this screen. This is your inventory maintenance screen. And we're going to go into administrative number 5, letter D, styles matrix. Now, just to cover the screen briefly, you know, this is the 2-dimensional matrix that I was talking about. This is where you have the ability to add your clothing, hats, shoes, pants, you know, in the system by color and size. Now, these X and Y dimensions can be whatever you want it to be. It can be length and width if you wanted to, you know, whatever the situation is. But you also must have your vendor added into the system as well. You have your on order matrix, your in stock matrix. Your on order matrix shows you what you currently have on order. In stock shows you what you currently have in stocks, and your sales matrix allows you to put any items that you've entered into the matrix on sale. So what I want to do now is I want to add a vendor into the system and associate a vendor with an item in inventory. And then we can show you a little bit more on how the styles matrix works properly. So we're going to click on number 5, administrative, letter G, vendor maintenance. Now this is going to be the screen where you add all your vendors into the system. When you hit this drop down arrow, this shows you all the vendors you have added in here so far. When entering a vendor into the system, the only required fields is your vendor number and company name. You also have the ability to set up their purchase order delivery method. Maybe you print it over to them, maybe you fax it over, maybe you email it, whatever the situation is, you can select that method if need be. So as you can see, we have vendors already added into the system. So let's go and associate a vendor with an item in inventory. So in order to do that, we're going to hit exit. And now we're going to go back into inventory maintenance. So number 5, administrative, letter A, inventory maintenance. I'm now going to look up my item that I just added into the system, which is animal crackers. So I'll type in ANI, the first couple letters of the product. There it is. And now it pulls it up in my inventory maintenance screen. I can now associate a vendor with this product. So I'm going to hit ordering info, add pricing from a vendor, and all my vendors that I have added in here are going to populate in this screen. So I'm going to select Adam Snacks. And the vendor number is usually supplied to you from the vendor. So we're just going to call this any number that we want right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you have the ability to add more than one vendor to an item. Now, the reason being is because maybe, let's say, one vendor is out of stock, or maybe one vendor has it at a better price. You have the ability to associate more vendors, more than one vendor with an item. Now, the reorder level and reorder quantity, this can be very beneficial. By setting these two levels here, this automatically dumps this item into a report once it is ready to be ordered. So if you have the reorder level set at 50, once you reach 50, it can order another 100 or another however many you set in here of that product. And this will be thrown into the reorder report. A little later on, we'll cover that report. So let's associate another item with an item in inventory. It's very simple on how to do it. Let's look up our power bar here. There it is. Double click on it, brings up the item in inventory. I can also put this into my snacks department very quickly. So as you see, I pulled up my item, but it's showing that it's in my none department, but I want to put this in my snacks department. So I'll hit my snacks department and now hit save. Now I can go to my add pricing from a vendor and add Adam Snacks to that item. And let's say we're going to make this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So hit enter. There we go. So now we associated two items with a vendor. Alright, we did our power bar and our animal crackers. So now we can go and order more of these products because now they're associated with items in inventory. But before we do that, let me show you how the matrix works. Because now we have vendors added into the system. So now we're just going to exit out of here, back into Styles Matrix, and now we can add all of our different kinds of shirts or pants or whatever we want to add in here. So hit Add Style. All right, let's call this graphic tee. We'll hit enter that. All right, department I'm going to put this in. Let's say I'll put this in my miscellaneous department for now. And the vendor I'll select, let's say t-shirt bums. Okay, as you can see, my X and Y dimension is size and color. I can change this to whatever I want. So let's say it cost me about $10 to make the shirt. We're going to be charging $20. And now we're going to hit save. So as you can see, after I hit save, now these fields have opened up. So now I can add all my different colors and all my different sizes into the system now. So let's do a couple sizes and a couple colors. So add size, we'll say small, Let's do large, or let's do medium. And one more size will do. We'll say XL. And now we're going to add all our different colors now. So let's say blue. Let's say red. Let's say green. And that's it for now. So we'll do 3 colors, we'll do 4 sizes. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have these in stock. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click in the field and now say how many we have of these shirts. Let's say I have 1 of each. So hit OK. Alright, hit OK again. And now you're going to see what it's going to do. It's basically going to add all of these shirts into my system as opposed to me going back and adding each individual shirt into the system. Now I created the matrix which you're going to add 1 of each shirt and 1 of each size. Again, I'm just showing you how this briefly works, just so you get an idea of what it does. And now let's go take a look at our items in inventory. All right, so we should have 1 of each. We should have 1 of each of these shirts here. 1 small, 1 medium, 1 large, 1 extra large, 1 blue and green, red and blue. So we're going to exit out. Now let's go to administrative. Letter A, inventory maintenance. So now let's go to my lookup and look up my department, and we're going to look up our miscellaneous department. And there you go. It shows you all the different shirts that I just added into the system, as opposed to adding each individual shirt. So the matrix can be very beneficial when using it. So now let's say we want to order more products, because we've also added our vendors into our system. We associated them with our items. So let's order more of our products. In order to do that, we have to create a purchase order. So we're going to cancel out of here, and we're going to exit out of here. And now we're going to go to letter H, purchase orders. Again, remember, you must have your items associated with vendors in order to create purchase orders. So letter H, purchase order. And on the top right here, I'm going to hit add. Which type of order to add? Standard purchase order or return to vendor? Return to vendor would be, let's say, maybe it was the wrong product or the product was damaged. That would be a return to vendor. But we're creating a standard purchase order. So we're going to hit standard purchase order. And now we're going to select our vendor. So vendor, as I have them highlighted, and now I can hit add items. Now as you can see, it's showing you the only these 3 items that I have associated with that department, or that vendor I should say. If I select my t-shirt bums, it shows you all the different shirts that I have associated with that vendor. We want to order some snacks, because we know the weekend's coming, it's getting very busy. So we want to make sure that we have an extra 200 of these animal crackers. So all we're going to do is we're going to double click on it, and it shows you in stock that we currently have 100. So when we receive, we're going to receive another 100, which should bring it up to 200. So we're going to double click on the product, brings it to the bottom of the screen. We're now going to double click in the quantity order field. And now we're going to type in 100, hit OK. We're now going to hit save. Would you like to print a copy of this purchase order? At this point, this is where you would print out a copy, either fax it over, email it, or whatever process that you use to send it over to your vendor. I'm going to say no because I don't want to print out the order. And it shows you that it has a status of O, which means that the order is still open. So now let's say the day's gone by. Now the vendor has now come on location with your product. All right, so now we're going to go back into the purchase order screen. There's our open purchase order. So now we're going to double click on it. And there it is. We're now going to receive the item. So we're going to hit receive item. It says enter line to receive. So it's line number 1. So we're going to enter line 1. Hit enter. Quantity received is going to be 100. Hit OK to that. And now we can hit update. Your changes have been saved. Hit OK. And there it is. It shows you that my vendor is still open, but now we can close it because we just received our product. So now we're going to hit close. Closed purchase orders may not be reopened. Are you sure you would like to close this purchase order? Yes. Because we received our product, so yes, we would like to close this purchase order out. So now we're going to exit out of here, and we're going to go into Administrative, number 5, letter A, Inventory Maintenance, and now we're going to look up our product. So let's look up our animal crackers. There it is. It also shows you that my stock has now been updated to 200 in stock. And again, the second method of adjusting your number in stock is using an instant PO. Right? This is how you would minus from your inventory and also add to your inventory. Let's say I want to bring this back down to 100. I could do a minus 100, and I'll bring it down to 100. Let's say I want to bring this back up to 200. Same thing. Hit OK, and there you go, back up to 200. The two methods of adjusting your number in stock and receiving and ordering your products. So now that we've ordered some more products, now we need customers to purchase these products. So in order to add our customers into the system, that is done in your customer maintenance screen. In order to get there, we're going to exit out of your inventory maintenance screen. And again, as I mentioned, all your maintenance screens are under administrative. So number 5, administrative, letter E, customer maintenance. Now this is going to be the screen where you add all of your customers into the system. Now the system has the ability of tracking loyalty plans and loyalty programs. This is a great way to have repeat customers. Okay, if you have an incentive to come back, I'd come back every time if I had an incentive. So the system does have the ability to track that internally, but keep in mind, if you have more than one location, a processor is required, such as ValueTech or Mercury. This way, your points can be global if you have more than one location. The system also handles a web portal, which allows you to have multi-locations, to have them all communicating together. This way, every location is pulling and sending information every 30 minutes. But that is if you have more than one location. But keep in mind, if you decide to have more than one location, the software is fully capable of handling that. Now, when entering a customer into the system, the only required fields are customer number, first name, last name, and email address. Actually, it's only customer number, first name, and last name. I recommend entering the email address because we have the ability to do mass emails. So if you're offering any kind of promotion or anything like that, you can blast off an email to all of your customers that you're tracking in the system. So yes, I'd like to see that is required. Even though it's really not required, I would say it is. I mean, it's just a very important feature. It just makes it a lot easier to communicate to all your customers. In the middle here, we have a couple tabs. We have extended info. So extended info, we have the ability to store credit card information. We can store driver's license information. Okay, account info. We have two types of customers that we can add into the system. We could add either a standard customer or a layaway customer. A standard customer would be a customer that you bill to their account and you bill them a monthly statement. Layaway customer would be a customer who's paying off their balance in installments. If you are shipping and billing to any customer, you have the ability to track that information as well. History, as long as you've been tracking the customer, there will be sales history on any items they have purchased. Notes, you can put any kind of specific note in here for any of your customers. Let's say, a good example, one of your customers is highly allergic to peanuts. Okay, you can put that note in here, and when you click on customer notes in the background, it'll display customer allergic to peanuts. Stores, as I mentioned, the system has the ability to handle multiple locations. So this is where you would come to associate your customers with your different locations. This way their points are global if you have more than one location. Back to the general info. We spoke a little bit about all the different price levels that we can add into the system that you can set, which can be very beneficial, and you can use this to any items in inventory and associate this with any customers that you add into the system. You can also set a discount percentage. Moving forward, if you have this set, they're going to get any item that you ring up for this customer at that discount percentage. You also have the ability to charge at cost and also tax exempt any customers. So let's say you have maybe a church or maybe police or firefighters around that are a daily customer. Right? You can tax exempt them if need be. Now the middle section, as I mentioned, this is where we would come to associate the loyalty plan with the customer. In order to create customer plans and loyalty plans, that is done in your customer loyalty screen. What we're going to do is we're going to exit out of here, and go into our customer loyalty and start creating a plan. So we're going to exit, and we're going to go to number 3, tools. Number 4, setup, and letter C, customer loyalty. Now, which would you like to set up? We're going to set up the incentive first and then apply that to the plan. So loyalty incentive, okay? And now we're just going to go over the screen and what we got here. So, as you can see so far, for one that I created in here, I have called free voucher, right? The reward type is a free voucher, as you can see. And I have 10 points that are required in order to get this reward. I also have the voucher value worth $5. You can make this voucher value any value that you want. To add one, let's call this one free coupon. Or let's create another free voucher. We'll make this one for $10. So we'll call free voucher $10. Points reward, okay, and keep in mind you have a couple incentive types that you can do. You can do birthday bonuses, okay. This allows you to give any kind of birthday bonuses for customers that birthdays are approaching, as long as you are tracking them in the system. Frequency discount, let's say you have a frequent customer who gets a cup of coffee every day. On their 10th cup of coffee, they can get that 10th cup for free. If you have that set as an item in inventory or a free voucher or the value of a cup of coffee. In most cases, most customers are using points reward. So in here, we're going to make the voucher value $10. For the points required, we're going to say it's going to be 100 points. Now we're going to hit save. So again, once you hit this drop-down arrow, free voucher $10 is the one we just created. So it shows you we did a description of free voucher, $10. Points required to receive the reward is 100 points. And we could also charge tax 1 if we wanted to. But because we're not charging for the voucher, it's going to be a free voucher. Okay, we want to make sure that that is enabled. So now we can exit out of here and associate the voucher or loyalty incentive with the plan. So we're going to exit out of here, click on setup number 4 again, letter C, customer loyalty, but this time we're going to select loyalty plans. We're now going to hit add at the bottom of the screen. We're going to call this free voucher 10, the same as the incentive. We're now going to hit save. And we're going to select our free voucher 10. Now again, when you hit the drop down arrow, it shows you all the different vouchers you have added into the system, or all the different loyalty incentives you have added into the system. So in here, we're going to hit add incentive, and we're going to do free voucher $10. We're also going to make sure that we mark this as prompt, so this prompts the cashier or the server to know that the customer is eligible for their points or their reward. We're also going to make sure this is set to accumulate points, so this way the customer is accumulating points once they are purchasing their products. We're now going to hit update. So now what we want to do is we want to apply this loyalty plan to a customer. So we're going to hit update and we're going to exit out. We're now going to go back into number 5, administrative, back into customer maintenance. I can now hit my lookup button and look through all my different customers. Let's select Jason. So right now it shows you I don't have any loyalty plan selected for Jason. So in here, I'm going to hit loyalty plan, and I'm going to select free voucher, $10. I'm now going to hit update. So now it shows you that I have the free voucher $10 associated with Jason. It also shows you that I have 0 points. Now there are 2 ways to accumulate points in the system, and that is either by point per item or earning bonus points for dollar amount. This means if you enable this option, earn bonus points for dollars, this means that if they spend $20, they're going to get 20 points. If they spend $50, they'll get 50 points. So in order to set that option, we're going to click on setup number 4, letter G, setup screen. We're now going to click on invoice settings. And now we're going to set earn bonus points for dollars. Okay, and as I said, this means If they spend $20, they're going to get 20 points. If they spend $50, they're going to get 50 points. All right. Now that is one method of accumulating points. The other method is setting points per item. A good example would be a cup of coffee. Okay, you can set your cup of coffee to 1, and on their 10th cup of coffee, they'll get a free voucher printing out that'll give them that free cup of coffee on their 10th cup. And that is right here in the middle of the screen, bonus points. So now, let's show you how the loyalty plan works. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our customer, Jason. There he is, Jason Toms. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to ring up Johnny Walker. We're going to accumulate some points right now. So I should accumulate 190 points. We're going to hit pay, because that's how much the item is worth. $190. So we're going to hit cash. Would you like to print a receipt? We're going to say no for now because we're not going to print a receipt. But now when I hit select or find, select Jason Toms, it now shows you that I have 190 points. Now, for my reward incentive, it was only 100 points that were required. Okay? So, I should be able to ring another product, and the software should flag me, letting me know that Jason is eligible for his reward. So now, we have Jason selected. Let's select the product. Now, let's hit pay. There you go. Bonus available. Type, points reward, bonus, free voucher $10. Would you like to apply this? We're going to hit yes. Just to show you how it looks in the background, we have the gift card. All right, it comes through as a gift card, which is actually a free voucher, but the price is $0, but the value is $10 of that voucher. So we're just going to hit cash and close that out. Now, we know that the last transaction amount was for $2, okay? So technically, we should have 92 points left over because we used 100 points. We already used our free vouchers, so that deducts that 100 back out of our account. We're going to hit no to that. And now, let's select our customer again. There's Jason Toms. And there it goes. It shows you that I have 92 points left. Because it deducted the 100, but because the last sale was for $2 and we had 90 points originally left over, it added those $2 to my existing points. So now that we've added some customers into the system and associated some loyalty plans, we now need employees to ring up these customers. In order to add these customers into the system, that is done in our employee maintenance screen. In order to get there, we're going to click on Options, number 5, Administrative, letter F, Employee Maintenance. Now this is the screen where you're going to be adding all of your employees into the system. This is also the screen where you limit them of what they can do and what they can't do in the software. The top section is the required information that is needed when adding an employee into the system. The middle section is all their functionalities of what they can do and what they can't do. The bottom section is how you navigate through all your employees and also how you add your employees into the system. When you hit this drop-down arrow, it shows you all the different employees you have added into the system. As you can see here, in front of my employee ID, I have RobTest2. My ID is actually 01, but the RobTest2 is a prefix which lets me know that I'm currently activated to a web portal. In most cases, this will read 1001, 1002, 1003, depending on your location. In most cases, in a single location, it will usually say 1001 and then the ID would be 01. Keep in mind, when adding an employee into the system, you're allowed up to 4 characters. The password can be any unique identifier that you want to set, maybe the last 4 digits of their social security, or anything to their liking. Display name can be anything that you want to set here. Also, keep in mind that you have the ability to store personal information on that employee as well, so you can set this as a nickname if need be. Card swipe ID, as I mentioned, the software, you have 2 methods of clocking into the software, and that is either using an access card, which is a product that we do offer, so if you're interested in purchasing these access cards, you can contact your account manager. The other method is logging in with a touchscreen with your unique identifier. Again, as I mentioned, the system is fully touchscreen, which is meant for speed. Your employee will be able to clock in and out as fast as possible. Now in the middle here, we have a couple of checkboxes. We have disable this employee, take credit card tips and cash at the end of shift, require clock in before login, administrative card access. Disable this employee this allows you to disable an employee if they've ever sold anything in your establishment. You do not have the ability to delete any employee out of the system if they've ever sold anything. Require clock in before login. Very neat feature. This requires the employee to clock into the system before they can ring any sales. This way you avoid any discrepancies at the end of the month or the end of the week, why they weren't paid for a certain day or an hour. If there is no sales recorded under their time or ID, then they were never clocked into the system. On the restaurant side, we have the ability to track the credit card tips per employee. Administrative card access, if you have access card assigned to your employees, you have the ability to give them administrative card access throughout the software. In the middle here, we have a couple tabs. We have permissions, and under permissions, we have functionality, inventory, customers, reports, setup, restaurant, and handheld. Now, functionalities, you do want to make sure you go through all of these features, because there are certain features here that you want to make sure you have enabled, such as end transactions. End transactions, if this is set to prompt, this means they can't even close out a regular standard customer. Okay, so you do want to make sure you go through all of these privileges. Another neat feature is if you highlight a functionality here, it gives you a brief description of what that functionality does. Now, a very beneficial feature that we offer in the employee maintenance screen is log as exception. Now this feature is very beneficial because you can track any functionality that you decide to give to an employee. Now open cash drawer, okay? Now that is one of these functionalities that a lot of managers are iffy about giving their employees. But in our software, you have the ability to track it every time they do it. In order to use this functionality, you must highlight it and then put a check mark in log as exception. You'll notice, if I highlight hold and print, the check mark disappears. If I highlight sell non-inventory, still no check mark. But open cash drawer, check mark reappears. This means that I am tracking this option here. So as I mentioned, there are certain functionalities that you do want to make sure you go through. Okay? So if you look at the screen here, you'll see I have end transaction set to yes. All right, hold and print, I have this set to yes as well. There's a couple items here that you do want to make sure that you go through. Sell gift cards, if you want your employees being able to sell gift cards, then obviously you want to make sure that's set to yes, and redeem gift cards as well. All right, issue credit slip, redeem a credit slip, and cash transactions and account transactions. So, you are going to have to go through these functionalities. Now, if you want to lock the employee out of completely going into your inventory, customers, reports, setup, or going into any restaurant features or anything like that, you can set all of these options to no. Now, a quick breakdown on what you can set here is yes, no, prompt, and override. Yes means they can do the functionality. No means they cannot do the functionality. Prompt requires a manager to come over and enter their password so the employee can do the functionality, and override gives them manager access throughout the software. Job codes and wages. I like to use this as their entitlement of what they do in your establishment. Now, on the retail side, you could have somebody that's doing cashier, and you could also have someone that's doing stock. Now, cashier, I want them finalizing sales and ringing out my customers. Stock, I don't want them accessing my computer for any reason. I want them to only use the software for clocking in so I can track their hours and wages only. And in the software, you have the ability to do that. In order to create your job codes and wages, you have to go to Job Code Setup. Once you hit this drop-down arrow, this shows you all the different job codes you have entered into the system. So let's say we select stock. As you can see for stock, we have access to POS unchecked. This means that the employee working stock cannot ring any sales or go any further than the login screen. Cashier has access to POS. This means that they can finalize sales and ring customers through and go into the cash drawer when they need to. I also have my shift report set to number 1. On that report, it will include department totals and itemize all of my credit card transactions. This is a report that will automatically print when I clock out of the system. To associate these job codes, it's very simple. We're just going to exit out of here. And in here, we go to job codes and wages. So let's say we want to remove this from the employee now. So we'll hit remove. And now just to add them again, we just hit add. And again, all the different job codes you add into the system will populate in the screen. So let's say I want this employee working stock, and I also want them working as a cashier as well. So I have the option to select what I want. We're now going to hit Save Changes. So now, let's clock in with this employee. So in order to clock in, as I mentioned, there's one location that we talked about already. The second location is under Cashier number 1, letter C, clock in, clock out. Third location is on your invoice screen, clock in, clock out, F3. But the first location that we mentioned was the blue and white time clock. So in here, we're going to type in 03, enter, 03, enter. We're now going to clock into the software. It's now prompting me, where am I working? So let's say I'm going to work stock. I'm now clocking to the system, I'm not going to hit done. So if I try to log in with this employee, I should not be able to go any further than the login screen. So, there you go. You're currently working job code stock and may not log in. So now let's clock out with this employee and clock in as cashier. So again, we're going to hit the blue and white time clock. 03, enter, 03, enter, and now clock out. Clocks me out, no problem, done. Now, you notice that there was no shift report or anything like that enabled because we're only utilizing the software for their hours and wages, and that's it. So now we're going to clock in as a cashier. 03, enter, 03, enter, clock in, and now we're going to select cashier. Now hit done. So now when I clock into the system, I should be able to go into my login screen. There you go. I was able to get past my login screen, and now I'm in my invoice screen. So now let's just clock back out. And, it's just an extra step of security. If you don't want anybody that's working stock, going to your cash register for any reason, you just have an extra step of locking them out now. Now, as you can see, this is going to take a little bit longer because I have the shift report set to 1, and at this point, it's going to print me out a report. Now, let's go back into our employee maintenance screen and take a look at our clock in and clock out that we just did. Time clock management. This is going to show us all of our different clock-ins and clock-outs that we've done in the system. Alright, so it shows that we've worked cashier, and it also shows that I've worked stock. Now, what's really neat about the time clock management screen is that you have the ability to come back and adjust the start and end time to whatever you want, as long as the employee has been clocked out of the system. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I can go in here, click into the field. Let's say I want to change this to 1. You'll notice that my number and time has now gone up. It shows that I've worked 61 minutes, and my wages has also been calculated as well. Again, the employee must be clocked out of the system in order to adjust their start and end time, and a manager can only make this adjustment. Store association. As I mentioned, we have the ability to handle multiple locations, and as you can see, I'm activated to my web portal now, which shows Rob Test 2. Okay? Now, if I had more than one location, I could associate all my different locations in here, so my employee can work at whatever store that I own. Again, the web portal is basically your database on a secure website where it's sending and pulling information to all locations, so everything is communicating together. Payroll info. The software now has the ability to export the payroll information to Payroll City, which makes payroll a lot easier for the end user. So now that we've gone through on how to add our employees in here, how to set their functionalities, we also have the ability to schedule these employees. So this way they can't work before or after the time they are assigned. And that is called the labor scheduler. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit out of this screen, and we're going to go into Tools number 3, letter B, Label Scheduler. Now, to use this label scheduler is very simple. You have the ability to filter by all job codes you have added into the system. So if you want to set your schedule for your people that are doing stock, or all your people that are doing cashier or server or anything like that, you have the ability to sort through them and create their schedules that way. You also have the ability to duplicate the schedule for the next month. You can copy the schedule. This way you don't have to recreate it all over again. This way, you don't have to keep doing it over and over and over. If you're comfortable with the schedule you have for all your employees, you can leave it that way. Now, to schedule an employee is very simple. All you need to do is highlight the employee. You're going to click at their starting point and drag it to their end point. As you can see, I'm now working on the 8th, 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, very strange. In order to save your changes on the screen, you must hit search. Okay, and now let's say I want to make a schedule for the 9th. I can do the same. Highlight my employee, start at the start point, and drag it to the end point. Hit search, save my changes, and now I have schedule set for the 8th, and I also have a schedule set for the 9th. Now what's really neat is that you also have the ability to schedule a break within this given time. So if you highlight it, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen this opens up so you can schedule maybe a 15-minute break or a lunch break or an hour break, whatever break you need to assign to the employee. You also have the ability to enforce the label scheduler. Now this means once you enforce the label scheduler, they're not going to be able to clock in at 4:55 or clock out at 1:05. I mean, you do have the ability to set punctuality where you can allow them that window to clock in or after 5 minutes before their given time. You can't set that. But if they are over that given window, it will require a manager to enter their password so they can clock into the system. So in order to enforce it, very simple. I'm just going to exit out of here. And we're going to go to Setup number 4. Letter G, Setup Screen. We're now going to click on System Access. Third tab over, Labor Schedule Settings. Now this is where you will come to enforce Label Scheduler and then also use the punctuality. So this is where you can set either like a 5-minute window or a 10-minute window, if they can clock in or after the time they have been given. So now that we've ran some sales, added some employees into the system, added inventory, ordered more products, let's take a look at our reporting screen now. In order to get there, we're going to go to Administrative number 5 and letter L, Reporting. Now in the system, we have over 75 reports. We're not going to cover all of these reports, but reports that are mainly specific to the retail side. As you can see, we have our reports broken down into categories. The categories are sales, inventory, customer, employee, restaurant, and rentals. In the middle section here, these are all the reports that we offer in the system. Keep in mind, when you highlight a report, it gives you a brief description of what that report details. To the right, we have a start date and start time. If you double click into these fields, this pulls up a calendar. If you double click into the time, this pulls up a time frame. On the top right here, we have Advanced Reporting. Advanced Reporting is another service that we do offer. If you feel that none of these reports fit your needs, we can create a report for you. There is a charge for that. Also, if you have a background with SQL or Crystal reporting, you can also use this to your advantage, but you also would need an enterprise license. In the middle of the screen here, we have certain criteria that opens up when you have a report selected. So as you can see, Invoice Totals Report, Okay, but if I highlight invoice totals report again, you'll notice that this criteria opens up again. Now, as I mentioned, any invoice, your invoice total report stores anything that you've voided out of the system. I'll show you what I mean by that. So display, and as you can see, option number 3, voided invoices. Option number 2, on hold invoices, and option number 1, completed invoices. Let's go back and set this date, so we have a little bit of information in there to show you how this is going to look. So when you generate the report, this is how it's going to look. Very detailed report. Last page always gives you your grand total. Keep in mind, any report that you're able to view this way, you are able to export. When you hit the export button, you have multiple extensions that you could export to. Also, you can highlight the date and it will show in red. Next report I'm going to move on to is your detailed daily report. Your detailed daily report is a very important report. Closely resembles your end of day. The only difference is that it does not settle your credit card and does not Z out your machine, so you do not have running totals for the next day. You also have the ability to set a start date and end date, and also break this report down by cashier or station. Another major difference is that you also have certain features that you can enable on this report, as opposed to the end of day is the default report, which includes everything broken down by cashier and station. Again, if you double click into the field, it pulls up a calendar. Same thing for the time as well. Next report I'm going to move on to is your detailed department sales, or your product mix report. Very detailed report, and as I mentioned, category for this department, this is where this can come in handy. You can use category for this department to have more detailed reporting. This way you know exactly what is being sold out of those departments. If you hit display, you have the option to do all sales or returned items. We're going to do all sales. So it shows you all the departments that I've sold items out of. Again, a very detailed report. The last page always shows you your grand total. And you also have the ability to export this report if need be. General hourly report. I like to use this report a couple ways. I feel that the general hourly report can be used to schedule your staff accordingly. So let's say between the hours of 8 and 1, okay, you didn't make so much money, it's been pretty dead, you only made maybe $200. But between the hours of 1 and 5, okay, you've made over $3,000-$4,000. So between the hours of 1 and 5, you need to have a more scheduled staff. Okay, now this gives you a nice little breakdown. So it shows you, okay, between the hours of 10 and 6, I made some money. So I want to make sure that I have a good scheduled staff between 10 and 6. But between 6 and 8, not so much. All right? So we know that we need to have anybody, we don't need to have as much staff scheduled between those hours. And, for what the report is, it gives you a pretty good total. It tells you how many items were sold out of that department, the amount. Okay, and you could also export this report if need be as well. Flash report. This is a good quick figure report, so you know where you are for the day. You hit display. All right. For what it is, it gives you a very nice little readout. You have a net sales taxed, net sales not taxed. All right. Your exempt sales, any liabilities, items that were sold, what you've taken in cash, checks, credit and debit, EBT on account. Any kind of payment methods you've issued. Now, when we were talking about our employees, how we have the ability to track their functionalities, these are the two reports I was talking about. Operational exceptions and invoice exceptions. Now, the operational exception would be something such as opening the cash drawer. That is considered an operational exception. An invoice exception would be anything such as a void, a discount, a line item delete, or a deletion off any invoice. That is an invoice exception. And in the system, you have the ability to track every employee that are doing those functionalities. Credit card detail report, credit card detail batch report. Now, this report is a detail report just on all of your credit cards. The credit card batch detail report is a detail report on the batch that has been sent from our software. Financial summary, similar to your end of day report. The only difference is that you have the ability to set a start date and end date, and a start time and end time as well. Inventory. A couple reports that are important here. You have your list alphabetical. So let's say you ever need to do a full product list of all your items in inventory. You can run this report, and this will give you a full printout. You hit display. This gives you all of the departments you have added into the system, all of your items you have added into the system, and last page gives you a full current inventory value. And again, if need be, you can export this report. List numerically, the same as the list alphabetical report, just that it's numerical form. Now, as I mentioned, the reorder report. Now, this is a very beneficial report because if you are utilizing the software the way you should, then you can set your reorder levels, your reorder quantity, and it'll automatically dump those items into this report so you know what needs to be ordered, as opposed to going around and counting all your inventory and then finding out, after you doing your count. And the matrix quantity, this works with our two-dimensional matrix that we offer. All right. Another important report in here is your current value. Current value gives you a dollar value of your entire inventory. Very important. You also have your top sellers, top seller items. Okay. Any kind of discrepancies report that you want to run, which if you're counting your items. We do have the ability to work with Pocket Inventory, which is a handheld unit, which allows you to take this little computer and count all of your items in inventory. It then synchronizes with our system or software and then uploads your stock values. You also have the ability to do price changes, receive purchase orders, and create purchase orders on that Pocket Inventory device as well. But the discrepancy report is used for tracking your inventory when using the handheld device. All right, you can see what items have been transferred in and out of your store. Top 10 sellers I already mentioned. All right, and most important is your purchase order report. You can see what reports. You can see what items have been set to be ordered. Okay, and you can pull this down either by what line order. So let's say we received line 1 before. So we'll say 1. Let's hit OK. And it shows you all the different items that we have ordered. And again, you can export this report if you needed to. Customers. We also have reports based on all your customers, either by account receivable, any open invoices, how long they've been with you, any sales history that the customer has purchased, is also stored in the system as well. You could also pull a phone and email listing. Reason why I said it's very important to track their email is because again we have the ability to do mass emailing. Employee. Very important. These are reports that you can run to track their hours and wages. Again, if you're only utilizing the software for tracking, just their hours and wages, you can do so. When you hit this report, it's pretty detailed. Okay, it shows you everybody that's been clocked in and clocked out. Shows you the amount of hours they worked, how much they earned. All right, and again, as I mentioned, you have the ability to export the report as well. Restaurant, you really don't have to worry about. These are just restaurant features. Now, one last report I do want to touch upon is going to be your end-of-day report, but we're going to cover that more towards the end of the training. There's one last section I want to show you, and that's touchscreen configuration. Now, your touchscreen configuration, this is where you can customize your screen, color code your products, and position them any way that you want. In order to get there, we're going to click on Setup number 4, letter J, touchscreen configuration. Now for general, this is meant for the restaurant side. So we're going to skip over the general side and go to items and departments. Now in here it shows you all the different departments we have added into the system. Now I can literally drag and drop these departments any way that I want. So let's say I want miscellaneous at the bottom. I've now moved it to the bottom. I could also move my none to the bottom as well. I can also alphabetize any of my items that are in a department, as long as I have the department highlighted and hit alphabetize here. I could also color code any color that I want. And let's say you don't like any of these colors, you can create your own custom colors as well. I can also hide any of these departments if I didn't want to show anything as well. So if I highlight a department, uncheck this box here, this will hide that department altogether. And it'll also hide what's in that department as well. Now, when you hit select, this allows you to set a picture for the item or the button that you have set under TS Lookup. And as I mentioned, you also have the ability to create scheduled menus in the system. Let's go take a look at a couple changes that we did. So we know that we moved miscellaneous to the bottom. Let's log in now and take a look at it. Okay, and we also colored our nutrition in this type of blue. So there's my non-department, there's my miscellaneous, both at the bottom. And as I mentioned, this screen is very customizable. You can position these any way that you want. Back into setup, then touchscreen configuration, items and departments. And you can also use the up and down arrows if you're uncomfortable dragging the department. You use the up and down arrows to bring that department wherever you want it to as well. The last two things I want to show you, which go hand in hand with each other, is your end of day and backing up your database. Now, there's an option that I want to show you to enable, which is very important, I think, because in the past, we've had customers call in saying that, it's been 3 months, I haven't received my money. Now, by enabling this feature, you avoid this altogether. When you run your end of day, it'll automatically settle your credit cards for you. In order to make this setting, we're going to go into setup number 4, letter G, setup screen, and then payment processing. We're now going to click on other options. Now we're going to put a check mark and perform batch settlement on end of day. This means whenever my end of day is ran, it'll automatically perform my batch settlement. If this option is unchecked, then you must manually run your settlement. In order to manually run your settlement, you would hit Administrative, letter K, Credit Card Settlement, and then hit Settle. But by hitting number 3, Tools, and hitting End of Day, this will automatically settle my credit cards for me. Now there's 2 places where you can run your end of day, from this screen or the login screen. Let's go to File, and then End of Day. Now, as I mentioned, Detailed Daily Report and End of Day closely resemble each other. This is why the 2 reports are close together. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hit End of Day. I'm going to type in my password. Admin on the top, 01 at the bottom. Hit OK. My expected deposit is $457.35. Let's hit OK to that. Is this amount correct? Yes, it is. At this point, it's now going to settle my credit cards. And now it's also going to print my report. So now I've completed my end of day. Now, the last thing I want to show you is backing up your database. And now the reason why I did it in this order is you're going to see now. So File, Database Maintenance, Backup Database. Again, it's going to prompt me for my password, ADMIN on the top, and 01 at the bottom. It is strongly recommended to make a credit card settlement before backing up the database. Have you settled your credit card transactions? Well, we just enabled that option on the end of day report. So yes, we did run a credit card settlement, and we completed our end of day at the same time. So we can hit yes to this. Now, when making a backup in the system, it is recommended to save that backup to an external hard drive, a flash drive, or maybe even off-site, such as Carbonite or something like that. Very, very important. I can't stress enough how important it is to make a backup, so please make sure you become very familiarized with backing up the database. And I recommend making a backup at least every night after that end of day. This way you have the most up-to-date information. So just to backtrack, to make a backup, File, Database Maintenance, Backup Database. Password, admin on the top, 01 at the bottom. We're going to hit yes because we did do our credit card settlement. At this point, it's going to ask me where I'd like to save my file. I'm going to save my file to the desktop because I do not have a flash drive or an external connected currently. So I'm going to call today's date with a timestamp. So I'll say 7/8/2013 at 2:40 p.m. because I like to make multiple backups throughout the day, so this way I know exactly when this backup was made. So now I'll hit save. It's going to take a couple seconds. And there you go. Our database has now been backed up. And that's how simple it is to make a backup. I can't stress enough how important it is, so please, please, please become very, very familiarized with making a backup of your database every night after your credit card settlement. This now concludes our training on Cash Register Express. I hope you guys enjoyed the training. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a great day.